Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back to talk about Claim to Fame after episode number 5. And we said goodbye to Cole tonight as Carson. You could say that girl is on fire as Cole is eliminated from the competition. And here with me, my co-host, of course, here on our Claim to Fame recap, it's Jenny Autumn. Jenny, how are you?
I am fantastic.
This woman is on fire.
Thank you. Did I just graduate?
Mm-hmm.
I graduated from girl to woman right here on this podcast.
Yep.
Well, I'm very excited because, it's Alicia Keys, and the keys to making this a very fun and exciting podcast for me is bringing on 2 guests that I never get to talk to. And so I'm very, very excited for our panel tonight.
Okay.
It's
well,
a great night.
Speaking of keys, she is highly anticipating a bunch of random influencers getting their keys to the Big Brother house in a couple of weeks' time. Of course, that is Maggie Morgan is here. Maggie, how are you?
Hi, Rob. Hi, Jenny. I am so excited to be here. I binged all of season 1 of Claim to Fame before the season started, texted Jenny all of my thoughts furiously. I've been texting Jenny this season all my thoughts. And at one point, I had like a really specific thought about Lil Nas X. And I said, Lil Nas X was discovered on YouTube, and sent it to Jenny. And it was another friend named Jenny in my phone who was
very confused. Yeah.
But all that to say, I'm committed. I'm here on the Claim to Fame train. It's so much fun. I'm having the best time, and I'm so excited that you have me here.
Well, it's so nice to have you here, Maggie. And of course, it is what an honor to have here with me a woman I've been collaborating with all summer long as we have gone through a 2-year-old season of Australian Survivor. But here she is to speak publicly about Claim to Fame for the first time. The queen of international survivors, Shannon Guss.
Hi, Rob. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Maggie. Thank you for having me. Find you a show that loves a key pun like Claim to Fame, right? They did the same thing with Kiki Palmer as well. They're like, ooh, keys, and then they put it in the show. So I'm glad that I got to be here for the now annual key pun.
Yes.
There's they do some repeats. They find something that works and they go with it. And you know what? Who can blame them?
Because at the time, a year ago, I was like, well, not a year because I binged it after as well. But I was like, oh, key, that's really smart. But now it's less smart, Claim to Fame. Now you've done it twice.
Yes.
That and the 7T shirts for 70s.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is so fun. Can't wait to get into everything. And of course, Jenny and I had a great conversation the other day. We had a podcast with Amara, aka Whoopi's granddaughter. That is up in our podcast feed. You could subscribe to our Claim to Fame podcast when you go to robiswebsite.com/fame feed. Jenny, what'd you think of tonight's episode?
It was good. And I'm not going to poo-poo any of these episodes because they've all been great. No, I'm just going to say I still think last week's was the best. In terms of like front to back, like, surprise, because that was the thing is after last week's episode, we're like, okay, well, Cole's probably on his way out, especially given, in the final minutes of last week's episode, we first of all, Cole had not been seen until last episode. He had a spike arc here. And then, so we get, the first indications of his clues at the end of last episode. And then a lot of Alicia Keys content during this episode.
Came out of nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of content about Cole being on the rocks here. So, it was a little bit of a telegraphed kind of person going, but they still gave us some intrigue. I'm still very happy with how they're editing the episodes to make it seem like there could be another way things could go and kind of building up some drama that might play out later in the season. So all in all, I still thought it was a really, really good episode. And I feel like we got a lot more information on some people that I had questions about. So I am happy. I still thought it was really great.
Okay. Maggie, what did you think about Cole? Are you sad to see him go?
Well, I thought because we had heard nothing about Alicia Keys until the last 3 seconds of the last episode that we were going to be wrong. I was like, I know he looks like Alicia Keys and all of these things are pointing towards it, but for some reason, I just feel like that's wrong. And then when she was right, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I was wrong. But yeah, I think Cole is the best part of this episode was the challenge and whatever Gabriel and oh my gosh, now I'm forgetting his name, Chris. Like their strategy session, like that was what was most exciting to me.
Some interesting emergent gameplay certainly happening here in Claim to Fame season 2. And Shannon, we then got confirmation about Cole has dated actress Emma Watson.
Rob, you know me so well that would be the first thing I care about to speak about. I completely agree. I was like, hold up, go back. I Googled it. He did. He dated Emma Watson. And that's the thing with Claim to Fame. It's like when they get voted out, you feel upset for them or guessed out or whatever. It's like, oh, poor Shane. But, you know, Eddie Murphy's worth $200 million. Like, I think she'll be okay. Like, poor Cole. He dated Emma Watson. He's a winner. He won in life. It's okay. That's it. So, and 100%. They just briefly went over the fact that he dated Emma Watson. Incredible for Cole.
Yeah. So, who knew? Emma Watson and Cole. And Jenny, not only that Cole knew Kevin Jonas.
That was incredible. Like, a lot of good Kevin Jonas content in this episode. But, like, for him to come back to the Guess Off, which apparently not knowing who ended up being immune because he had to leave, but like, and then being like, oh yeah, I've met your sister many of times. Also, have we met? And Cole just being like, yes, we have.
But that's Cole's real name as well. Like, it's not like some people go by a fake name. No, that's really Cole's real name. He's like no disguise, and Kevin Jonas just did not recognize that man.
Kevin Jonas probably meets so many people. Like, you know, he's a busy man.
But it's been a season of name dropping for the Joe Bros because we found out with, that first off, Franklin, that his hero is Neil deGrasse Tyson. They know Dolly Parton. Then we got tonight about how, we know Alicia Keys. So yeah, the Joe Bros are not dropping names left and right.
Maybe we can start like thinking about what celebrities we might see like in future seasons of Claim to Fame by just like, you know, going to like Getty Images and seeing like who the Jonas Brothers have taken photos with that are also celebrities to like see who they know.
Maggie, do you think they might be recruiting? Are they like doing casting like back in the day when like Survivors would be like at a bar and then they're like, hey, do you want to be on Survivor?
Well, I do think, you know, Amara in your interview with her, spoilers for the interview, but she did say that she wanted somebody who was related to the Jonas Brothers to go on. So maybe there's something there. I don't know. Maybe the person that we have zero information about, Olivia, is secretly a Jonas brother cousin or something.
But they don't recognize
Jonas
her.
cousin?
And we met.
They don't know her.
At a many family reunions.
They meet a lot of people.
That's true. But do you know who they haven't met? Clearly Tom Hanks. Because I have to say that every week that lack of video message becomes more egregious. And at the end of this podcast, I would like to play a game where we draft who we think will not give a video message. Like maybe we should take probably Jimmy Carter off the board. But otherwise, because is it gonna happen again for the entire season? What were the odds of this first?
Shannon, I have a theory that they did play his video message and then ABC decided they wanted to remain on good standing with Tom Hanks and showed him the clip and said, do you still want us to show this video message?
Some people have been theorizing that after Carly's outburst that they were not going to.
No, I'm sorry. This is what it is. Tom Hanks is the perfect level of A, too famous, B, he's just her uncle. Like Eddie Murphy's like, that's my daughter for sure. Like I'm willing, you know what I'm saying? And also, is he that close to Carly? That's something I'm looking for from Claim to Fame, by the way, because everyone's like, my relative's amazing. Jane's like, I'm here to tell you all about Dolly Parton. And it's like, we all know that. It's amazing. Okay, no one's on the other side of that issue. I want one person to be like, I hate my relative. Actually hate them. It's been all about them my entire life. I actually just hate them so much. That's what I'm waiting for Claim to Fame, but it hasn't happened yet.
They probably have to get them to. They probably have to get them to sign off though, right? Like as much as I would love there to be like family drama that gets carried onto the show, that would be fabulous. I feel like there has to be some sort of agreement on the celebrities' part to like have their like
representative.
Maybe it doesn't. Yeah. I don't know because it's like they're public.
Okay, so
they're
in
public
a similar
figures,
vein,
so
Not to mention the Bachelorette, given that it took the time slot of Claim to Fame, but
Yeah.
there once was a guy
Bachelorette
who
for
won the
that.
Bachelorette, who his brother's Aaron Rodgers, Rob, which is why I know that
Yes,
football player.
yes.
One of the only football, because his brother won the Bachelorette, and they do not get on at all. There was huge bad relationship drama.
That is a good point.
Yeah, and the whole thing when they went to hometowns was about how they didn't get on, and I really, really doubt that Aaron Rodgers signed off on that. So, and it's the same network.
He was
so
left in the dark. Yeah.
Is that a pun? I don't know anything about his brother won the Bachelorette.
I'm just, I really feel like now that we've gotten video messages for every single celebrity since the second week, I want to know what Tom Hanks would say.
Me too.
I want to know.
Could we write
I think he would probably say, "Hey, Carly, please don't have a meltdown and humiliate me on national television."
You're okay.
I mean,
breathe.
He should really be like, you know what? You probably would have done better than Chet would have done. So you probably made me proud and great job.
He's
but
been through worse.
The reality is that like Tom has maybe met Carly at like a family reunion once. And
they were in a picture
maybe
together.
He just doesn't have anything.
Tom is to Carly like Kevin Jonas is to Cole. Like I know you from somewhere, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Exactly.
Yeah, your wife is my my dad's sister, actually. Oh, okay, great.
All right. Well, let's dig into everything that was going on here in this episode because there were a lot to unpack. Monet and Gabriel, after Shane was gone, this is a little bit like we have like a new pair in the house. Jenny, that Monet and Gabriel were never this close when Shane was there, right?
Well, what we saw last episode was that it seemed like Monet and Shane were definitely a pair that had been going on for a while, but that there were like these two sides of the house that were forming, and that Monet and Shane were working with Gabriel and JR, and that Hugo and Cole were in the middle, and they were kind of felt like they had Cole because of Cole's relationship with Shane. So I think that those four were kind of working together as a side. Now, Gabriel, especially after this episode, I feel is like very well insulated. I mean, I would have said Hugo is in a great position in that he is still seen maybe as the like in the middle floater kind of situation, but somebody has his clue. Whereas Gabriel has relationships on both sides of the house, it seems, with like, what he's got going on with Chris here. And no one has his clue yet. So my take from this episode is that Gabriel is actually in a really good spot right now. So I think that while Monet and Gabriel weren't the closest before this episode, that with Shane leaving, that Gabriel was probably the person that Monet felt the next closest with. So she's gravitating to him more now.
I don't know if this is the time to bring this up, but I think that it's like so fascinating the way that the house structure has gone and the way that the like alliance structures have gone. Like season 1, it was essentially just a giant onion alliance with Elsie and Logan at the center, and that's why they ended up as the final two. They found their, classic number 3 in Pepper, who was never going to win a challenge, and brought her along. Like it felt very much like she
was the Victoria.
Exactly. I was like, okay, so we've got, Big Brother 16 happening here. And this season is giving me a little bit more like Big Brother 6 vibes. And we've got like Cole was giving a little bit James Ryan, and then everybody decided he was enemy number 1. Like, I think it's fascinating the way that in a house like this, these alliance structures still can change, even though the game structure is very different. The actual social structure is still very reminiscent of something like Big Brother or Survivor, just because it is such a social strategy heavy game.
Yeah.
I love that we have floaters. Like I love we have sides of, like sides of the house, and we have people kind of playing the middle. Like that's very fun. I do think that like this season, saw season 1, and then they're like, let's take this gaming to the next level. They really have.
We could have a Big Brother 3 secret pair with Chris and Gabriel. Like we could have Danielle and Jason, and we don't even know it. Like I'm waiting to see what happens next episode. I'm very interested.
I think as well that the structure is based on the players, and that's why the show is so good. And that's like all these social strategy shows where the players make up like the culture of the season. I think because you had Monet and Shane who were so extreme on one end, you know. And I actually went back and I agreed with you at the time that they hadn't necessarily put Jane into that. And going back and rewatching that scene with the like mindset that they did, it's actually quite brutal. Like yeah, I think that's right, and I actually really do think that they did. So they're quite brutal on one side. I think Chris was going really hard on the other side. So I think you just kind of had like these two kind of teams of generals amassing some numbers behind them, and that's for me why it's gone. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we go back to a similar structure at season 1 at some point, and it will just depend on the cast.
So we got some updates to the clue wall this week. And so a bunch of different things that they flashed in front of us. I think it might have been maybe 16 new things added to the clue wall. Probably not all of them shown on the screen, but okay, some questions, and then we'll go through all of the ones that we caught. Do we think that they only added things to the clue wall for active players in the house? Like, for instance, like no new Dolly Parton clues got added to the wall, right?
Well, right? Also, were there red herrings that were added?
Because that's the thing. Yeah. Like they said at the beginning of the season that not all clues mean something. So I think that they should be, if they're adding new stuff halfway through the season, they should also be, if they're not adding stuff that would only apply to departed people, they should at least be adding things that mean nothing, which is why you shouldn't necessarily read too much into things. Which is like they get obsessed about the dog. And they're like, oh, like, but why the dog? Oh, their dog isn't Bruce Almighty. Like the dog just might mean nothing. Like the dog just is just there because it's cute. I don't know.
I thought the dog was and all the animals were representing Dr. Dolittle, which would have been Shane's clue.
But it was a dog.
Every animal is Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that, and I still think that they may have picked some clues that they could connect to more than one celebrity.
Yeah.
Because if they can do that, why wouldn't they? Because it's going to confuse people more. And when somebody gets revealed, they might think like, oh, that was for so-and-so, and just like, you know, not think about it.
The dog with the heart is Puppy Love. That's Puppy Love again.
Rob.
Even we can't remember Donny Osmond, and we know it's Donny Osmond.
We know it's Donny Osmond.
Well, okay. I remember Donny Osmond, but I wasn't thinking Puppy Love. I was like, why are they so obsessed with connecting this dog to Jim Carrey?
The clue could be rhymed with Lonnie Losmond, and they would not get it.
Yeah.
That's all we
You'll never get there.
Okay. So some of the things that we saw on the wall. Okay. We saw the number 5,280. There are,
I don't even remember that. What?
5,280 feet in a mile.
Okay.
Famous. Yeah. So
okay, is that what you're going for? Well, it could be. Hanks, right?
Maybe it could be. Could be the Green Mile? That I guess that's possible. I mean, if
Tom
it was
Hanks
Tom,
is in the Green Mile, right?
Yes, certainly, yes. So maybe that could be a Tom Hanks thing.
I'm so sorry, Carly. No more for no more.
But I don't know if we're
the Green Bench, the Green Mile.
I personally, I think that there is somebody related to an athlete. We also had a football play that got added to the wall. I think that's something.
Rob, I wrote everything down. What was the football play?
There's no athlete that's not casted because there would be way too many lies. Of Two Truths and a Lie.
I think Monet could be related to an athlete.
We know who Monet is.
I know who Monet is now.
Okay.
Me too.
I thought you would know who Monet was.
Yeah, I'm shocked, Rob. Well, let's not shame Rob that he couldn't get the clue.
We'll get there.
It was pretty obvious.
We'll get there.
Okay.
No offense,
but
Rob.
You're right. It is kind of wild to think that we might not have an athlete aside from a NASCAR driver, which you know, your mileage may vary. Whether that's an athlete.
Yes. Okay. Mile could have to do with NASCAR also.
That needs to bell, Rob. Come on, your mileage.
Yeah.
The synergy.
Yes. We have the vote. That's got to be for Jimmy Carter, right?
That is
you would think
the
so.
Most sensible thing. Yeah.
Okay. What about this magnifying glass over the Ace of Hearts?
Okay. I have a question.
Yes.
Do we think maybe Olivia's related to a famous musician? Or not musician, sorry, magician?
A magician. Well, that came up, didn't it? But not when they were talking about Olivia.
The Ace is all the gambling stuff is Vegas because Donny Osmond has a residency in Vegas, which is something no one knows, Chris. It's fine.
Yeah, but why would there be a magnifying glass over the Ace?
I think that is a red herring.
Yeah, like that's the other thing is like, are they picking? So this adding of new clues like into the season, which again, that would never fly on the blue clue wall. Okay, they can't just add things to the blue clue wall halfway through. But when they're adding things late, are they picking up on some of the false theories that are starting to float around? And they're like, let's make this a little bit more fun and start, which I'm like, dude, how do I feel about this in terms of fairness?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'm always going to get obsessed about whether this is fair, but it's like, you know, is Chris the production darling? Because are they picking up that a couple people have said that he looks like Jim Carrey and they're like, okay, let's get the magnifying glass over the ace card.
These people are obsessed with Jim Carrey. They thought Jane was related to Jim Carrey earlier this season.
Everyone's related to Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
You know what it is? You know there's Jim, they're very close. But also not.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. That you know, maybe Jim Carrey is a clue for somebody else.
Okay, that was my thought, Rob. I was like, what if Olivia is related to Jim Carrey? And she's like, okay, there's so much about Jim Carrey, so I'm just gonna shove blame on somebody else. You know, that would make her the best claim to fame player ever. I feel like.
If that's what she's doing, that's incredible.
I assume she was, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
So
I don't think
here's
Jim
the
Carrey
thing. So I have seen, and I don't know what it's based on, but I have seen people saying that Olivia is related to Jenny McCarthy. And I don't know where that's coming from.
Who was in a relationship with Jim Carrey.
Precisely, Rob. And
who would have had hearts for an ace, right?
Oh, it was the Ace of Hearts card. So if there were, if there were a Jim Carrey-esque connection, then you could maybe connect that to were they married, Jenny McCarthy and
not sure.
They were just in a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
But interesting though, because Jenny McCarthy is a judge on The Masked Singer, hosted by Nick Cannon, who I have decided is Gabriel's relative. I personally have decided. But I'm just saying then you could have overlapping clues. I don't know what the Jenny McCarthy theories are based on, except for has she won a Razzie? I don't know.
I think she has.
So, you know, maybe someone just read like a list of who's won Razzies. But I just think that's an interesting connection. If it's not Jim Carrey, is it someone connected to Jim Carrey like a Jenny McCarthy?
Yeah. We had the Trojan horse. I'm not sure who that relates to. Am I missing something obvious there?
I mean, I'm just assuming horse stuff is like Lil Nas X.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know. It's a new horse. There was a horse already. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why we need a Trojan horse.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then we also had Caesar. Julius Caesar was here.
Is that Caesar's Palace? Does Donny Osmond play Caesar's Palace?
See, I think he plays the flamingo. I think that was already a clue of flamingo.
Oh, and there is a flamingo. Where was the flamingo? Oh, the flamingo was in the statue challenge, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm not sure necessarily where we get Caesar into any of this.
Unless it's just like he would go to Caesar's Palace, maybe, while playing the flamingo after the stint at the Flamingo Club.
Yes.
Well, he played. Okay. No, never mind. This is like the most long shot. I'm like thinking of his Broadway career, and like, no, we're not going there. Like the character that he played, and there was like. He was in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat for forever on Broadway. And that is sort of like, that takes place in like sort of times like that, but not really. So I don't know.
No.
No. That's why I was like, no, what am I talking about?
We need more Dreamcoats on the clue wall.
Multiple.
Yeah, that would be good.
If they were blue, they didn't need to be Technicolor, and then you wouldn't give it away.
Just done coats. But you say it's Chris the darling. They're trying to give stuff about Donny Osmond. It's not the production's fault, and no one. I mean, I guess other than casting someone related to Donny Osmond. So
I'm not necessarily saying that that's the case, but I'm saying if you wanted to use the theory that them adding clues halfway through is like potentially not fair, who are we thinking that it could be helping when a lot of the clues they were pointing to Jim Carrey? Like that was the interpretation that they were taking from them. Like I do think the ace and the magnifying glass is kind of like a wild clue if it's not like what else is that?
Mm-hmm.
The magnifying glass with it, like the detective ace, like that seems so obvious. So it's either like a very, very blatant red herring that they are purposely trying to, put on Jim Carrey, or it does mean Jim Carrey. And it's
like
just
Jim
not
Carrey. Jimmy Carter, they're so close. They're so close to Jimmy Carter. But I feel like this is something that I was thinking about where it's very in a name perspective. But something when I was doing some research for this podcast was I looked up the 2 truths and a lie. And I realized, for the millionth time, that Chris either intentionally or unintentionally innovated the 2 truths and a lie. Because his is musician, Walk of Fame, and uncle. Now, those are all roughly true. Like, is it his dad over an uncle? Because that's still a very, very, it's still like an older man in the right demographic. So I don't know if he did this on purpose, but he almost told like 3 material truths. And I wonder if everyone's looking for that thing. Oh, he must be a bigger musician who has a Grammy, or he must be an actor. And they're looking for where the thing is. But instead, a man of that age who's a musician, who's like Walk of Fame as the highest award, is where they should be looking.
And then he did come out and play a song on the guitar the very first night also. So he really was
not hiding that part.
There's a lot of stuff about me that's all true.
But that is kind of, so I think that when you do this, you either lie about the relationship for sure, or you don't tell lies that are like about the their career and their award that are so obviously not connected, because then you're basically confirming that one of those 2 things is the lie. Like I think it's hard to ambiguous that like, well, I could see like this type of career winning this type of award, but I don't know for sure what their relationship is. Like I think that is probably the safest thing to do, because we see in this episode they talk about JR and how his 2 truths and a lie, and we've been assuming this entire time that he's related to a basketball player, and there's not a single clue on the clue wall that is related to basketball whatsoever. You'd think there'd be at least something by now. So because of that, they are basically confirming that it is a singer because of the Grammy lie, or the Grammy truth, I guess.
Well, JR, because he did musician and NBA championship ring, is that right? So then he was basically like, I'm obviously lying, because he was leaning into musician being the lie. But once they've worked out that the basketballer is the lie, they're on musician. He was putting all his eggs in the basketball, in the basket, basketball. But there you go. But I mean, and that's a hard thing. It's much easier when Gabriel has NAACP award, Chris has Walk of Fame, so it's not so tied to one profession. So they got lucky in that, I think. But yeah.
So you think that JR should have said athlete and then just maybe done a lie about the award?
Well, he was just leaning so hard to the basketball thing.
Yeah.
And now it seems like that time is running out.
I think the best thing to do with the 2 truths and a lie, what I would do at least, is lie about their relationship to me. I would try to put them way older or way younger than they are to throw people off. Like if it's my uncle, I would say like my sister, to try to put them just like, even because how many musicians.
Like Elsie did that.
Exactly. And that's why it worked for her.
Then they had the clues come out that were birth dates. And I thought that was way too extreme. So like that would have like ruined Elsie in one thing, and that would ruin a whole strategy. I thought that was too much, personally.
That's a good point. That was like one of the first clues.
Don't come in last in a challenge.
No, that's stupid. Also you shouldn't have that whole thing outed just because you couldn't eat the fish stuff fast enough or whatever it was.
Walk over the Legos faster.
No, I thought that was too much. But it's interesting because the show's in its infancy, so it's still working out. Jenny, I so admire how committed you are to the fairness of the show. And it's still working out. And I do think that the biggest disparity will always be that the celebrities are never going to be the same. You cannot possibly compare Tom Hanks to any NASCAR driver. Sorry. Like, and Carly was right. Justice for Carly on that, because I wonder if the way to even that out is to have much easier clues for more difficult people and to not have a bench for Tom Hanks. I think that Carly, the history will be kind to her. We'll look back and we'll say, if you have Tom Hanks, you can't have a bench. She's
because
right.
some of these celebrities just have like more iconic imagery associated with them than others. So yeah,
and some of their names are key, and then it's done. Then it's over. When they have key in their name, it's over.
That's like what happened last year, though, right? So Elsie was lying and saying that it was her father, so that's why everybody was looking in the wrong place. Logan got lucky, and people didn't know country music, and I think that was like also just
more people know his relative now.
Let's not talk about it. If it was a year later, I would have known.
Logan is
let's
not
not try
his
that.
cousin, okay? Let's not do that.
There would be more things to put on the clue wall now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Let's not talk about it.
Friend of the pod, Logan, was able to go undetected because, much like Donny Osmond, it seems those people had no idea who his relative was.
And still today.
Except for maybe Brittany, but then she was gone and then was no help.
Because I feel like with Carson, they're doing with Carson exactly the same thing they did with Logan, which was like, they know it's a country singer, and then they put in more clues. They're like, country music. They're like, we know it's country. Can we have more specific? They're like, country. It's like when you're doing Pictionary and someone's guessed something, and instead of drawing something else, you're like, this one, country, like pointing at it.
Pointing to the cat. It's a cat. Cat.
Right. There's a wheel. There's a wheel. Okay. And now there's a car. We got that part. Just like racing, right? Like that's it. We know
race
that.
Car driver.
Driving.
It's a driver of the car.
Country.
No, that is a good point though about Carson, because it's like, okay, everyone that has heard about her clue at this point knows that she's probably related to her, like a professional race car driver. Unless you know more than one name that it possibly could be, like, you're probably screwed. So what happens when they guess Jeff Gordon? It's not Jeff Gordon. They're like, do we have a second one?
Do we have a second name? Yeah, it's going to be Chris.
Celebrity?
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Earnhardt. I was like, they should put an ear, but it's not Earhart. Yeah, they could do an ear hot. Or
they
something.
had a lot of like rhyming stuff last season on the clue wall. Maybe we should think about that. But it's going to be Chris and Carson in the final two, and whoever has to guess is going to lose.
Literally.
Like whoever doesn't
Very different worlds.
Whoever doesn't guess will be the winner of the show.
Yeah. Well, maybe Donny Osmond's a huge NASCAR guy, and we just didn't know. Like
maybe. Let's talk about our big telephone game. Jenny, return to the telephone game.
Yes, and they learned some things from last year. I think maybe they're like, let's change. Well, because I'm pretty sure last year, and the two lovely ladies on this panel, I've rewatched the season more recently than I have, but I thought last year it was based on how many they got right, whereas this time they did the two limericks again, but it was like cumulative time. I feel like it didn't run the same way last
year. It was time. Remember? They only had 15 minutes. So they were like,
so they would run out of time.
The clock. Yeah. And they would run out of time.
And maybe I think that was how they intended to do it. And then when everyone was failing so hard, they scrapped that.
Well, and they're probably going to have to fine tune it again after this season, because Kevin literally had to leave before they revealed who won. Yeah. Because he had to fly to Vegas.
Hey, Kevin, come on. We want to know you're committed to this, Kevin. We want to know that you're here all day and tomorrow.
You could see the sun setting behind Franklin Jonas as these people, as Franklin was like, that sun.
Did they really get him a helicopter? Like he was really flying out.
He really was scheduled to leave at a certain time, and I think they just hit that time.
Like, what was
he? No, he had a show in Vegas.
He as well with Donny Osmond.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what he's gonna say. Like, oh, Chris, I know your dad. I actually ran into him at the Flamingo. But I guess he's still touring.
Listen,
okay, well, Kevin should really be committed fully to this, I feel. Just I love the host, but I just feel like a tiny little.
Yeah. Well, also Franklin said
it works.
Franklin had mentioned like, all right, so green team, it's going to take a miracle for you to go. So God knows how long the green team actually took with the first task.
And they knew because like when Franklin comes back to reveal that Kevin has left, like Carson is turning to, I can't remember who, and she was like, that was us. That's because of us. Like we took so long with that first one that Kevin had to leave in the middle of filming.
Yeah.
I think it's good. Then you get more time with the clues. Maybe they were doing it on purpose.
Okay.
I mean, if you're not going to get the limericks given to you, then maybe just draw it out so you can learn as much as possible.
Learn as much as you can. Okay. Let's talk through the limericks. Okay. Limerick number 1. Each one had a clue about a person. I guess we'll get 2 clues about people that are not there. But I think we can. Yes, Maggie?
Oh my gosh. I just realized Jenny McCarthy is correct. It has to be.
Yes.
Why?
Wow.
She was a Playboy bunny, funny bunny. She was a Playboy bunny, and there's a strip pole. There's a stripper pole on the clue wall. Jenny McCarthy is correct.
Oh wow, that person is not as famous as Tom Hanks.
Unless it's Anna Faris, who was like in. Does she have a Razzie? But I do think Jenny McCarthy probably is correct.
Yeah, I agree. I concur on there once was a funny little bunny. We get the bunny holding the joke book. Who set up loud battles for money, Jenny?
That to me is probably Nick Cannon.
Yeah,
Wild and Out
with the Masked
on
Singer.
Oh. No, Wild and Out on MTV. It's like
I've never seen that. Is that what it's like a?
Yeah.
It's like an improv battle game.
That makes way more sense because I was like, they're not really unmasking or they're not really battling. Well, they kind of are, I guess, but not like rap battle or something. Okay, so then we have with a guitar, they sang songs. Now we have a couple of people that could potentially be musicians. That's here. Probably Donnie. Is it Donnie Osmond? Guitar?
I'm obsessed with this. This is my favorite running theme in the whole season. Like it's the producers screaming in their faces, "It is Donnie Osmond," and they're like, "Who?"
Lots of people play guitar.
Yeah, lots of people play guitar. While
at the Flamingo.
While Lil Sister tagged along. Now, Alicia Keys was Cole's sister. Is
older
that
sister?
Older sister.
Okay.
From the photos.
Lil Nas X.
She's older. I thought that was the only thing I thought was because it says Lil.
Yeah.
While Lil Sister. Okay, and we think that's
it feels like a stretch.
Who's
Monet?
Says
his name.
Or
what?
No,
it says Lil Nas X. Lil.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's the only connection I can make.
So who? And forgive me if I'm being dense here, but who is Lil Sister?
The sister part doesn't make sense.
Maybe it's Olivia. Is it Olivia?
Then if we're saying Olivia is the bunny,
she can't have 2 things.
Then it can't be.
Okay. Well, let's see who we didn't use, and then we'll come back.
Yeah. Okay? We may have to run back. To is maybe Olivia? Oh no, because we have a race car.
Yes.
Anyway, keep going.
And they race down the road. Okay, so that's Carson.
Okay.
Car.
Literally
driving.
car in her name.
Yes.
Again,
yes.
Shannon.
It's driving. Do you guys know that it's driving? I would punch the producers if they gave me one more car clue. Where? But it's race car driving.
Okay.
More specific clue.
There once was a boss who fought evil. I think this is Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
100%. The boss of the world.
That's a terrible clue.
I think it's a bad clue.
Horrible clue.
No.
It's a bad clue.
Actually, now Hugo is production starling.
Yes.
With that clue.
And that's what I think. And then they say, who wanted to hide he was regal. I think this could be Shane. I think this is a Coming to America reference.
Oh my God, more Eddie Murphy.
Yes. Well, there's only 8 people left in the game, and there's 10 lines to the limerick. Right. So I think we're gonna have 2 people.
One is. Do we get red herrings in each limerick?
Maybe.
Well, that is crazy. If there should not be red herrings because there's already the challenge is so hard that there are so many red herrings to put in the.
Yeah,
order.
But I don't think there's red herrings. I think it's about people that aren't there. He keyed a few bars. That's going to be Cole, so that's not going to be Little Sis. And stepped on some stars. Okay, that one to me is questionable.
Is there any relative who's on Stars on Mars? Can we put these 2 shows together? Is this
William
the time?
Shatner.
I don't think
Jimmy
so.
Carter. Is he on Stars on Mars?
Yeah.
I just thought it was a Hollywood Walk of Fame reference. Because if you're walking...
Nah, that's crazy. They can't put in a clue that's the truth and the lie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just
unless
leave
it's for
it
someone
blank.
else that didn't say that.
Okay,
But then that's wild
and promoted where betting is legal. Now that's got to be Donny Osmond. So that opens up the guitar now. So is the guitar Dolly Parton?
I mean, the guitar, that is a bad clue.
To be fair,
like, could it be Little Nas X?
I thought the battle was Little Nas X. Because he's a rapper.
No, it's definitely Nick Cannon.
Yeah, I think that one makes more sense as Nick Cannon. But like,
so the people that we didn't use.
Where is Monet's relative that we all are aware of except Rob? I'm excited for the reveal.
Yeah, well, all right, let's tell me about Monet's relative. Okay, so we got the clue.
She's a sister of the relative then.
Okay.
Monet, maybe
right,
that's
so we got the clue in the episode that Chris opened, which was Saturday Night Live and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
It's Larry David, Rob.
It's Larry David. It's
Larry David. I thought you were.
So the only person that I could think of was JB Smoove, who was on both things.
Smooth. There's no other Curb Your Enthusiasm possibility for who that could be.
To be on both Curb Your
But JB Smoove, I think, was only a writer on SNL. I feel like that would be that just seems like a very obscure clue for JB Smoove.
Look up a photo of JB Smoove because he and Monet are identical. They are identical.
Yes. Okay. Well.
But then I'm thinking, okay, yeah, because if it is JB Smoove, then I don't think that. And
then
Monet
she's little
sister.
You don't think so?
Unless
Why not?
There's like a big age difference in. Like, it would make more sense as a daughter, but then I don't necessarily even think. I think maybe it's more likely she's like a niece or something.
No,
You think she looks for sure daughter? You think what were her two truths and a lie again? Do you have that handy, Rob?
Her two truths and a lie. I do not have them off the top of my head.
Let me see.
I think that she lied about the profession. I think it was Emmy.
Father athlete Emmy. Does JB Smoove have an Emmy?
I'm sure. I don't know.
I'm sure for writing on if he was a writer on SNL.
He won an Emmy.
Hold on.
Enthusiasm.
That JB Smoove,
outstanding actor in short form comedy.
At the Creative Arts Emmys. Is that the regular Emmys? Although I do see him.
What is the Creative Arts Emmys?
It's a different ceremony, but it's the same Emmy that you get.
You can still say it's an Emmy.
That's getting a little cute with the Emmy.
No, it's a real Emmy.
It's a real Emmy. I do see a picture of him. I do see him holding an Emmy.
The Creative Arts Emmys are for children's programming. They're for news broadcasts. They're for like non-traditional prime time. Like that's why it's daytime Emmys, prime time, Creative Arts Emmys. They're all Emmys.
Okay, but can I tell you what he won the Emmy for? And I love JB Smoove. Okay. In 2020, he starred in Mapleworth Murders opposite Paula Pell and John Lutz for Quibi. He won the 2021 Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Actor.
A Lifetime Achievement Award.
He won an award for something on Quibi. It went away after 3 weeks.
Okay.
And guess what,
you have an Emmy?
No.
Rob, until you have an Emmy, you don't need to be judgmental about JB Smoove, okay? He's done a lot for television.
I love JB Smoove. There should be no Emmys for Quibi.
Well, it's a creative Emmy.
Well, I adore JB Smoove. Give this man a real Emmy. But
maybe he'll be
not
so
for
good
Quibi.
Maybe in his eventual goodbye message, it'll be so good that they'll give him an Emmy for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think JB Smoove is definitely
that made ABC at least though. So
yeah.
So here's the thing is like I just can't ignore the fact like this clue is not up for interpretation because they literally wrote the words out underneath the clue this time. So they confirmed to us that it was Saturday Night Live and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, it was actually very irritating because I was watching with Sam Moore and we paused on the clue and we did a lot of research, the two truths and a lie, and we were obviously that's with Curb Your Enthusiasm, JB Smoove looks perfect, got it, and then a second later they gave it all to us. But it's not up for debate. I called my dad and I said, Curb Your Enthusiasm's in the show I'm watching. So I'm going to be, JB's move. This is it.
Can we go back to the clue wall and
you want to see if you can find clues for JB Smoove on there?
Anything else about JB Smoove?
Do we have something from Spider-Man?
Yeah.
He was
I'm just looking at his IMDb
Yes.
now.
Does he do commercials for Caesars Sportsbook? I believe he does.
Really? Caesars.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So that's the Julius Caesar.
We finally found it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. What do you see?
That is wild. If that's the clue for him, that is wild.
Rob got it.
Monet winning.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else.
The playbill must be Donny Osmond, Broadway. They got so much Donny Osmond there.
Yeah.
I know, and they'll still never get
And also, look, driving, car.
They have like a beer can. Like, what else do you have for Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Like,
are there jelly beans in the gumball machine, or are that gumballs? JB?
I think those are gumballs. They're perfectly round to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be something from Curb Your Enthusiasm on the clue wall. So can we find that?
I don't know if I see anything that jumps out, but maybe our listeners can help us with figuring that out. Okay. All right.
JB Smoove is from North Carolina, and he's a Jets fan.
Yes, I do know that. I love JB Smoove. I would love to. I don't know if he's going to talk to me anymore after I trashed his Emmy.
Yeah,
he's listening.
It's kind of messed up, actually. I think you just
also. I did just want to say, because you guys have referenced this prior in other podcast episodes, the red wig is the wig that Lil Nas X wears in one of his music videos. So
okay.
So because a lot of people were saying like the wig is probably just Dolly Parton.
No, but Lil Nas X wears it in one of his music videos.
And then somebody pointed out the statue, sorry, I forgot the word statue for some reason. Statue challenge. There was like the devil horn was one of they didn't really focus on it in the episode, but someone was saying that that is a Lil Nas X clue as well. So
I think Camel, Joseph, Donny Osmond. Looking at it now, there's so much.
We're finding more Joseph stuff. Yeah.
I'm determined for there to be Joseph. But also, there's so much stuff for Old Town Road on this. Look, there's a boot and I feel like that's very clear when they get to it. When they
what's the 8? Is that Dale Earnhardt's number?
Where?
Yes. There's a D for Donny Osmond.
We know the D is definitely Donny Osmond, right?
Dale
no, but is Dale Earnhardt's number?
Imagine if they keep adding stuff, but it's just the letters of Donny Osmond's name. Like, we have the D now. We're going to start adding O, N, and Y until we get to Donny Osmond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by the way, JB Smoove did win the Emmy on Quibi for the Mapleworth murders. There's a bloody knife.
Nice.
That's Jenny McCarthy. Of course, she's in the Scream movies. She's in the Scream movie.
She's in Scream.
Yeah, she's in Scream.
I did not remember that she's in Scream.
Like, she's in one of the new Screams?
No, the original. She's in Scream 3 and she's in Scary Movie. I'm looking it up right now.
I remember Scary Movie because I saw that. I didn't see all the Scary movies.
I was thinking because there's some Baywatch clues up there, and Jenny McCarthy was also on Baywatch. So I feel like
that was one of the new additions. There was like the little life preserver red thing, and I literally wrote Baywatch in my notes. And
what about the tiny camera? Who's got the tiny camera? There was a new
they
tiny
were saying
camera,
that was Ace Ventura. That was like what came up.
No, that's not Ace Ventura.
But I'm not agreeing. I'm just saying that that's what they said.
So like the Jim Carrey thing, they really did hammer that.
They're going all in, but it's like I mean, yes, deep down the whole episode, I knew that Cole was gonna go, but I loved the thought of the fact like that we could have gotten Chris being incorrectly guessed again.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Is it going to happen?
People are going to be very wary if they keep guessing him wrong.
Yeah.
I was about to say, Jenny, I feel like that is coming.
Yeah.
Like they're building it up, right?
I can't wait.
Because it's funny because they create all these things in their minds. Like, he looks like Nicolas Cage. He looks like Jim Carrey. Like, that is just a white guy. That's why you think that.
Like, what happened to the Nicolas Cage stuff? They were like, they're like cage-free eggs. He looks like Nick Cage.
He
like
doesn't.
That's it.
Mhm.
Like they were so in on Nicolas Cage and then never to be heard of ever again.
I think people are going to be very reticent to guess Chris, especially if another person gets him wrong. I think that they're just going to leave him alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Chris talked about how he had a little bit of an original strategy here of by getting a clue and not saying whose clue it was. Jenny, Chris said he felt like that people may not be so keen to put him in the guess off because they don't know if he's going to guess them.
And that is a good thing if people truly can't figure out whose clue you have, which leads me to the conversation I wanted to have. So thank you for batting that, like teeing that up for me, Rob. How do we know, like, what happens if someone goes into the wine room and let's say Gabriel wants to pick Hugo's clue? Can he pick Hugo's clue again? Because Hugo's bottle is there. What happens in these situations? Because people must be there must be a way to find out what clues have been picked, because we got this scene between Gabriel and Monet where Monet basically says Gabriel's the one who's immune and he gets to pick a clue. And she says, I kind of want you to pick mine because that keeps it from being picked from somebody else and I trust you. So I just think like eventually people must be able to piece together, even though Chris hasn't told anyone at this point that he picked Hugo's clue, especially as we're getting down in numbers and people are sharing some information on who has been picked. Like people have to know what clues are being available to be picked, because what would happen if Gabriel had gone in there and was like, I want Hugo's clue? Like,
but even then, that's just
that one. Like,
yeah.
It's definitely
again.
So then if you're Gabriel, you can reason that if you know who everyone else has picked, that Chris picked Hugo's clue. So it's like, I think that like that strategy is okay for Chris for like a week maybe, but eventually people are probably going to have an idea of who he's got. So
I think it's very interesting the way Chris is going about these clues.
Yeah.
Like
Maggie.
This is very combative, I felt. Not tell anyone about the clue at all.
Maggie.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that I think that that's a mistake on production's part, because like if you want to have somebody go in there and they're not socially connected enough to be able to get these clues, like let them waste getting a clue on a clue that's already out there. Like why shouldn't the people who have better social bonds be more rewarded by the fact that like their clue might not be picked because people don't know what's out there? You know, I think the production should really lean into that. And also I think that what Monet was doing, like I don't know why she didn't think of that last week when Shane was there, because, oh my God, Shane gets her clue and then Shane gets voted out. So Monet's clue, not only would Shane not have shown her clue to anyone, but she would have been voted out with it. And Monet would have been smooth sailing to the finale, I bet.
Yeah, the only wrinkle with that is, for a Gabriel, it's like, well, what's in it for me? In terms of like, I can
trying to help you. Yeah, which is what Chris said, right?
I feel like this was amazing from Gabriel. Like, I agree with you, Maggie. I think that's a really good point. It's like if you could get multiple of the same clue, then your social connections on the outside would be like earning you almost an immunity win. Like if you see a clue, you've won that access, and if you don't have that access, you need to win a challenge to get there. It really puts an emphasis on social bonds. Whereas at the moment, you can't get it anyway. So if you gain access to viewing the clue, it's still like a benefit, but it would be more of a benefit, I feel, if it meant you didn't have to go in and waste it on an immunity win. So I think that it would put a lot of the emphasis on social bonds. But I like, firstly, the way that Monet is thinking about it. I always like when a show is, again, like quite early on and people are evolving strategy. So to even think of that, I think it would have been better with Shane. But I like the idea of like, if it's going to be sold out, and I feel like if anyone sees her clue, they will be able to get that it's JB's move. So let me put this in someone that I trust. But I think for Monet, a little bit of it is put into the fact that she's underestimating Gabriel because he's amped up that perception. So it's like, not only do I trust him, but like, is Gabriel going to work this out? Is he going to have the relation, or is he going to be able to do this? And she puts that trust in him. But I think Gabriel 3 cheesy points to Gabriel for me this episode, because I felt like he gained so much. Like, he has a leverage in the relationship. He doesn't have to do something combative in pulling a clue, which is innately combative, because she's asked him to do it. If he can work it out, then he still could have her as an out if he really, really needed it. And yeah, now he can use her and has all the leverage in that relationship. So other than not being able to really trade clues with Chris, I think for someone who's playing a very social game like Gabriel and trying not to be found out that way, it's great for him.
I thought we weren't going to do chizzy points until the end. Dropping 3 chizzy points in the middle of the podcast. Sorry. Okay.
But no,
I did think about it. I did think about my chizzy points.
Yes, we should do it.
Can you imagine if there was like another opportunity for lies though in this game, with like, if clues could be pulled more than once, like, and that's a whole other thing that you could be using to like deceive someone, where it's like, so-and-so told me they pulled so-and-so's clue, but like, I don't know if I can trust that they actually did that. Like, these people are so paranoid with each other that, you know, we've got Chris and Carson really doubting each other now. So I just think, like, why not have another opportunity? And like Shannon was saying, like, this puts more emphasis on having good social relationships with the other players. So I would love to see someone make the mistake of pulling a clue that somebody else already has, and they're not getting any new information, or they're getting information that people already have. Yeah,
absolutely. And then that rewards the people. Like, the person who won last season was Elsie, whose clue was never pulled. So it's like, then it rewards the people who are playing a really great game.
Send this to Samoa, okay?
I think it's,
if you're listening,
like, if you want to amplify the next season, make it be possible that clues can be pulled more than once. Okay. And to be fair, like, maybe it is possible, and we just don't know because it's never come up. But like, I don't think it's possible. We see the bottles. Yeah. Everyone's bottle is there. So like, Gabriel must have just felt comfortable enough, even not knowing who for sure that Chris had pulled, that it wasn't Monet, because he said it wasn't. They could see. I feel like the bottles are translucent, right? They're probably putting paper in them. Like, I don't know. You can't do that, right? Like, I don't know. They're like also black bottles or like dark bottles. Should you be able to pull your own clue? Like, no, that's probably out of, because then you're keeping, that's too easy, right? Like, you can't pull your own.
I agree. I think that
there's rules.
The evolution of strategy to getting an ally to pull it, where there's still that risk involved, and there has to be that kind of like trade of incentives, that's better than just you can pull your own clue. Because then basically, if you win immunity, you have to do that. You just pull a clue, and then it's way more valuable to keep your clue from people than it is to find out maybe one person's clue.
And then it's like the question of like, you trust them, but are you right to trust them by like getting them to pull your clue? Like, it's got to be an unwritten rule that you can't pull your own clue, because that's
like how you can't vote for yourself in Survivor. That's fine.
Okay. All right. The actual game itself, the actual competition, there wasn't a ton to gain from it in terms of strategy or clues, but there were some fun moments along the way. Jenny, JR really got the dodo edit throughout most of this episode. I really thought he was going to go home because he got such a bad edit this week.
And I had that thought too, where I was like, oh my God, is JR going to actually, incorrectly guess Chris and go home? But I felt like we hadn't gotten enough of his clues yet. So it felt a little too soon. Again, like it was like Cole last week, where it was like, we just started, like, we don't even know who Cole is. But this poor man is hobbling down the stairs, and maybe they didn't know what sort of things they would have to do at each station. But I have to feel like, wouldn't JR have been better at like the top of, like, they had like the big like tube that they used as like the telephone inside the house. Like, wouldn't JR have been better on like one of the ends of the tube where he doesn't have to like run downstairs, because he had to like go to the phone at the top of the stairs and then take the stairs down to place the clues. And he was not good at that.
I think they thought he had the worst memory.
They were like, well, I mean, but you still need to have good memory at the end, because you have to take the the clues that were given to you by the last person and place them with items.
No, but I think you could they just tell you the things at the end, and then you're just like moving stuff around. You could keep trying stuff. I think if you had a person with a bad memory, I think you would put them at the end.
I guess if it's the worst memory, but I almost think that like the worst memory, maybe you put at the top, like the third spot, right? You think?
Why?
No, I don't know. Well, I guess yeah, if you're right, because if they have the worst memory, then maybe the items will prompt the things they heard.
They're just like,
if you're
he's
a
getting like
me,
bunny, like guitar. He's just gotta go grab the thing.
Couldn't find the guitar. Bless his heart. Can we talk about dear Franklin, who was doing the Jeff Probst maneuver of like being annoying and talking during like the portion where the last person is choosing the clues and putting them like the items in the right order.
Very good.
But do we feel like he was maybe like, again, like my obsession? Is this fair? I'm very annoying, but like. I feel like he was basically telling JR, it's not the sun.
But Jenny, that might have been like hour 3 that he was
It had to have been. It had to have been. He had to have been so over it at that point. Because I was like, Franklin, why are you being like, you're being so obvious that he's wrong about the sun?
Well, and he did try it in every single spot. Like he's like, okay,
you really want to make that sun work.
You've now tried it in every single spot.
Yeah, maybe he's like, you're not winning. I'm so over it at this point. It's not going to help you.
I have to say, the Jonas Brothers all have terrific senses of humor. Like all of their, like not just Kevin and Franklin, like Joe and Nick are also very funny. And yeah, the less important two. They're all very funny. So somebody in their family must be hysterical because they actively on this show make me laugh like every single episode. Franklin is so funny.
He's adorable. And he's just a ball of joy. It's so corny, but like it works. I just feel like in a lot of other scenarios this would bug me, but it's just so like I just believe that they are that earnestly like excited and having fun. I don't know.
But they're great hosts for the show.
Yeah. I can't imagine the show without them at this point.
Yes.
Plus, we get to hear all the people that Kevin knows. You never get Franklin being like, I got dragged along to an award show once. I met this person. It's always Kevin being like, here's my flex. I met this person and this person.
Other than JR, any other highlights from the actual competition this week?
The scene where Gabriel is talking to the end of the tube and Cole has already sprinted off.
Yes.
And he's like going over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like this challenge even though it goes pretty long. It's always going to take up a lot of the episode, but I like the way that they changed it this time around. And I felt so bad for Monet because so here's the thing. I have a decent memory, but I'm really bad with auditory directions. So I related to Monet, like hearing something and being like, I'm so good at this. And like, I've got this. And then being like immediately blank. After hearing it, I think that would honestly be me. But did you guys like notice she said that she takes lion's mane for her
lion's
memory?
Mane? Yeah.
Yes. What is that? Is that a vitamin or a supplement?
Okay, thank you. Because my notes, I had just written down lion's mane, ? And then I couldn't go back to work out what I meant. Thank you. That's what lion's mane was.
Maybe don't ask your naturopath for lion's mane for your memory because I don't think Monet was a great spokesperson for it.
Okay.
Well, is that on the clue wall? Lion's
Yes. Okay.
They do this type of thing on the challenge a lot where they have to memorize something and then like run and like do a physical activity. And so by the time you're like exhausted from the physical activity, you don't remember.
So this is interesting. So a lion's mane, I don't believe is actually made from lion's mane. That it is it is a type of fungus and it is a mushroom supplement that people take for cognition, focus, and mental clarity.
I just don't want to be that focused. Like I it's not worth the juice isn't worth the squeeze for me. I don't need to be that mentally clear enough to take fungus.
Yeah.
Or lion's mane.
I mean, does it just taste like a normal mushroom? If it tastes better than B vitamin, like, honestly, sign me up, because B vitamin is the most nasty thing I've ever tasted in my entire life. So if it's better than that.
People care that much about their cognitive functions. See,
I do care. I'm considering it. Actually, I mean, if Monet had done a little bit better, I would be maybe looking up the lion's mane at this point.
Influenced, Jenny.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't do a good job, but
Shannon, what do you think of this as the strategy for this? Just get the first 2 lines. You're the first person on the phone. Just get the first 2 lines, get that right, get them in, and then go back and then either get the next 3 or break it up again.
I was watching it again with Sam Moore. He had a lot of thoughts. I'm delivering them all in this podcast via me. And he said just do 1 line at a time.
I think you could do 2.
Nail each line.
Olivia she got it in the second one. And unfortunately, by that point, they were far too behind. But I felt bad for her because she killed it in the second limerick, because when she finally figured out that was the strategy, you do 2 lines at a time, deliver the line in full. And she had it completely memorized that way. I think that maybe you just like only have the capacity for like a certain amount at a time. And if you just focus on that part and getting it right, then you're going to give the most accurate like representation of what you heard. I think the problem with the limerick is like, is it obvious to the people hearing it that what part is the clue? Because like, I feel bad for JR in that he was obsessed with the sun because Sunny was in the limerick and there was a freaking sun like item, and so he got
some words were in bold. Yeah.
Well,
but it's not like Kevin's like bold.
But it's not just that. This is a very like, it goes long because it's a difficult challenge for the like contestants. It's trying to mess them up. Battle was a microphone and not a boxing glove. Like, that's just worse. Yeah. That's just the worst option. For me, my strategy would be, like, if I was on this season, I'd get a car and I'd get the keys. First thing. Like, that they're going to do that. So you can also lean into who you know. That's why I really like the challenges that include the clues as part of the challenge rather than running on Lego. And I think that they could redo many from season 1 as staples because they were so good. But, like, yeah, if you know cars, definitely we're going to have Carson and a car. I know I'm joking because they've done so much car stuff, but I'm also kind of serious that you can lean into it'll probably be that thing. And then it rewards people who are more aware of the celebrities as well.
Yeah, that was a good point.
Very smart, Shannon. That's really, that's really true.
But except no one knows the celebrities in the season. So they're all a bit screwed.
Okay, so all right, JR, he's in the bottom. He has to pick who he's taking with him. He ends up going with Carson. Was that a surprise?
Not really. I think his reasoning was that, she needs to feel what some of us have felt because she's not been in the bottom 2 before. But I mean, Olivia was also there, and I don't think she's been in the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to. He's got the majority of the house, so I think you want to put in someone like either Carson or Olivia who are less connected, so that you can hopefully have people vote how you want to either put you in as guesser or not. And to credit JR, who I do think got ironically dunked on, considering that he doesn't have a basketballer relative. But I do think that, he doesn't want to be the guesser, and he has the vote so that he's not. So some good social stuff is happening with JR.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and like, if you don't get voted in as the guesser and you're thinking that, if there's a chance that somebody goes home with an incorrect guess, then maybe you pick the person that you're least aligned with, maybe. Maybe that's what he was thinking, and he was like, people are going after Carson. I don't know. I mean, it's curious to me because we haven't gotten any follow-up on Carson from last week, aside from the conversation that she ends up having with Cole, where Cole shows his book and whatever Shane had shown him about her clue. But I feel like there was all of this, like, it's Jeff Gordon, and it's wrong. And then we ultimately see Cole get picked as the guesser, and he picks Shane, and that's what happens. We haven't heard a single thing said about, like, what happened with the Carson and Jeff Gordon of it all? Do people still potentially think it's Jeff Gordon? Like, I'm interested in the fact that did not come up at all in this episode, really.
Maybe it was going on in the house, and because she was going to be potentially guessing and not guessed, that maybe that was just like not something that people were talking about.
I would have loved like maybe one confessional of like someone recapping like what had happened there, and like, you know, getting spooked about guessing Carson. Like, we didn't even get it from Cole. Even like Cole didn't even say, you know, I thought about getting out Carson, but someone told me that apparently it wasn't Jeff Gordon. He literally just said, I felt bad taking out Shane, but that felt like the surest shot to keep myself in the game. Like, there was nothing said about being potentially told about the Jeff Gordon not being true. So I'm just like very curious about that piece, because it was such a big thing at the end of the last episode, and then it didn't end up being talked about. So I feel like it's got to come up again in another episode. Like, hey, remember when we thought it was Jeff Gordon?
I think with Carson, they've hit a roadblock, pun intended, because of cars, more cars, and they don't know who it is, and they you know, they like, let's table that. We feel really good about Cole, so he became the layup, and now they're thinking about Chris's stuff. So that's just like, you know, that's big. That's, you know, being prioritized over Carson.
And that's the problem, like I was saying earlier, is like, do they have a second NASCAR driver in their brain, or are they like, at some point someone can maybe guess Jeff Gordon? And
did you think that Olivia mentioned it?
She did.
Olivia did.
Yeah, Olivia
she did.
Put
the names out there, so it'll take one wrong guess probably of Jeff Gordon, maybe, and then they'll move on to the only other name they know in that field.
Well, yeah, I think if I was there, I would be like, Ricky Bobby, who was in that movie? Because I don't know any other race car driver. I would be like, is it Will Ferrell?
Oh, he's not Saturday Night Live.
Played a race car driver.
Exactly where I would go. The NASCAR driver thing would be a very tough one for me. So
yeah. Okay. So, all right, everybody's talking. They're talking about could the funny bunny be for the Rizzy? And everyone's like, who's the Rizzy? Yeah, who was saying Rizzy instead of Razzie?
Cole. That was Cole.
Yes.
Sweet Cole.
And then they had a theory, an interesting one, that maybe Olivia is related to Carrot Top.
Whoa. Fellow Ginger. Listen, I had Ginger theory last week.
I believe has a residency at the Luxor. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In Vegas.
So if it's not Jenny McCarthy, then it is probably Carrot Top. Do you have any other carrots or bunnies on the clue wall?
I don't know. There are a lot of props on the clue wall.
That
look
that
at this
itself. The clue
Jenny,
wall is
this wall. This is Carrot Top's act.
Yeah, the whole wall is actually Carrot Top.
Yes, the wig. Yeah, you see it.
That
Olivia's,
all of it.
Olivia's relative is Carrot Top, and JR's relative is Gallagher. They're just doing the whole set of props.
There'd be a watermelon up on the board.
Oh my god.
Yeah. All right. So Chris is starting to get worried because they're talking about the poker chips. Oh, okay. Well, that could be somebody associated with Vegas. Of course, my relatives are in Vegas. Somebody says, "Oh, what about David Blaine?" And he's like, "Oh, they're getting a little close." How is David Blaine getting closer to Donny Osmond?
Rob, I was hoping you had an explanation for that because I did not get that.
I looked it up. It's like David Blaine married into the Osmond family. No.
I think that they edited that. I think the producers edited that, and they were probably talking about musicians. But I'm so sorry to Chris and Donny Osmond. Like, nobody's getting Donny Osmond because they're talking about Adele and Usher. They're completely different types of musicians that have residencies there.
Yeah, do you think that maybe he was just saying they got too close because they were talking about residencies at Vegas?
Yes.
Because it was right after Cole said, didn't they say David Copperfield? And then Cole said David Blaine. And that was when we get the confession where Chris goes, they got a little too close there. And I was like, because it starts with a D? Like, you just heard D and you freaked out? There's the D on the wall? I don't know. Because, what do David Blaine and Donny Osmond have in common?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't get it.
So this is when we find out that Monet knows who Cole is related to. And they talk about the keys and how there's been lots of clues, the music, and Monet feels like, okay, Cole must pay for what he did to Shane last week. Also, there's nothing about basketball on the wall.
I mean, like, there's nothing really for sports at all on this wall. Or is there football somewhere? I don't remember.
I'm sorry. So so Cole's Alicia Keys, and then talking about JR, and then that's in regards to JR. There's nothing about basketball on the wall, and then they go back to flashback to JR's relative who had the pacifier, the binky, in its mouth, and I'm like, oh, Jenny's right. It is Lil Baby.
No, I said Lil Nas X, but I did say it could be Lil Baby because Lil Baby also was from Georgia. But I think that all the other clues
or Lil Baby.
No, Olivia said "duh baby." They did not say Lil Baby. Those are two separate people, Rob.
Yes.
Believe it or not.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay. So Lil Nas X, it's like a Venn diagram where it's like Lil Nas X, Lil Baby, duh baby. And so you have like the Lil and then I guess Lil
But
Baby
the babies are actually
middle.
clues for Nick Cannon. Confirmed.
As I'm saying, the clues can be for two
Maggie,
people.
they are. I think they are.
The babies are.
Is that a clue for
Robert.
Lil Nas X?
No,
Maggie, who's it a clue for?
Dolly Parton, because they're baby dolls, so they're dollies, and they're also for Nick Cannon's many babies. Yes. They're double clues.
Yeah.
Robert, that's bad.
That's not that. Is it untrue? He has a lot of several babies. Yeah.
He has a lot of children.
He's known for.
And a lot of them are babies. Like,
I know more about all of the children than I do about his hosting gig on The Masked Singer. So I guess,
Well, then that's
right.
a giveaway clue. That's his bench.
It is in the zeitgeist of Nick Cannon.
Okay.
The Nick Cannon babies are the Tom Hanks bench.
There really was this might have been the most strategic episode because we're getting a lot of these conversations one-on-one. Carson's like, Chris, give me your clue. And he's like, no, I don't want to.
Things are getting tense between these two because and this was awkward because it was in the room. I believe it was Carson and Chris on one bed and then Hugo and Olivia on the other bed. And I think that was when they were talking about like JR's clue. And then Chris is just like, well, I'm like relying on you guys to figure this out. Basically like insinuating he doesn't know. And then Carson goes, bitch, I'm relying on you and you won't give me your clue like in front of everyone. And they have like a little interaction. So like the tension is really building between these two.
And the irony, didn't Carson give Chris a clue and then he went back and told everybody a couple of weeks ago?
She said that Jeff Gordon wasn't her relative.
Okay.
Right. So she kind of gave a clue about herself to Chris, and then
maybe that's the reason why nobody's thinking Jeff Gordon because she shot that down and then Chris passed that information. But Shannon, I would love to know from you, as somebody who has seen many alliances share clues and information among each other. Now, is this a problem that could destroy an existential crisis for an alliance of people working together when there's not information sharing?
Yeah, I don't like this from Chris. I think it's too much. I feel, firstly, I thought picking Hugo's clue was bad because Hugo was a potential ally. He didn't want to do Monet because he thought that she doesn't know him. I still think that would have been the way to go, or someone more on that side, like a JR. So I think he already tied himself in knots because a lot of the time these conversations are being had, Hugo is there because he's an ally. So he can't say to her, like, I can tell everyone right now. He can't tell his whole alliance. And then to not even tell Carson, who's been like such a clear number one from our perspective and whose clue has been pulled. So in terms of his strategy of you won't pick me as the guesser because I might have your clue, Carson knows he doesn't have her clue. So he could at least tell Carson. It feels like Chris has 0 allies left. And I think that a lot of the stuff he's done socially, while I appreciate the strategic innovation, it feels like a lot of that is by his own hand, and he's being saved by the fact that no one knows who his relative is right now.
Mm-hmm. As long as he can stay out of the guess off, he's going to be cool.
Yeah, but he's doing a lot of other socially irresponsible things while Donny Osmond is just saving him.
I don't understand. That's hilarious. Donny Osmond saving him. Like
by not being famous enough,
or just being
or just being an older fame. Like
yeah, later days.
Well, I think that he absolutely fumbled that bag with Carson being like, they're saying the wrong name. Great. So either, turn somebody away from it on the guess off and just, come up with a lie, something like what Logan did when he was trying to save Brittany last time, come up with a lie and be like, I'm not sure that this is who it is. And then next episode be like, oh, okay, I guess like it is Jeff Gordon. And then pick somebody to go into the guess off who you don't know who they are and let them guess wrong. Like you have so much power there. You can absolutely manipulate a situation to make it so that your ally in Carson stays, and somebody who you have no clue who they are, like somebody like Olivia, you could easily put her into the guess off next time and everyone's like, well, it's Jeff Gordon, and then you can get her out and you never have to figure out who she is. I don't understand why he gave up that, like, information is currency. That's like the whole thing in social strategy, and he just told the whole house.
I think that it maybe ultimately came down to the fact that like whoever was guessing, like he felt like the two people that were potentially guessing were more valuable to his game than Shane, who was the layup of the house, and he wanted to ensure that Shane was the one that was going to be eliminated and not potentially someone who was guessing. Like that's what I took it as, but like I do think that he had like a good, and I don't know what conversation him and Carson would have had after this because they didn't really show us any follow-up about that. But I think if you're Chris, like, and it does get out that he had told everyone that it wasn't Jeff Gordon, or not to guess Jeff Gordon, and that they would be eliminated. Like he has reason to say that he was doing that to protect her because, like.
But he wasn't.
As long as they're not guessing her. Well,
guessing her wrong.
Well, that's the thing, because because he can say like they don't know for sure that I know that it's like that it's not. So give them enough doubt that they just don't do it, and they still don't know for sure whether to trust me. So if they do have to go into the guess off again, they will go for you, perhaps, unless there's like a new layup at that point. Shane, the layup of the house, is gone at that point. Like that puts her in a better position because then they still potentially have a wrong guess for her in the bag that they can use because it wasn't confirmed wrong. Like if people are on to a wrong thing for her and they don't have it confirmed by the guess off, then that's another opportunity that people might guess her wrong if they don't have a better option. So like, I think if you're Chris, you can spin that to her to say like, I was kind of doing that to protect you and to make sure that our common target went home, as opposed to Cole or Hugo, who we're kind of working with here. I don't know if that's what happened though, because we didn't see what Chris said.
Yeah.
Well, we got a ton more strategic planning shots here in this episode where, all right, we see Monet and Gabriel. We talked about this. Monet wants Gabriel to pull her clue. He does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
Now, does she then confirm to him, like, should that be part of the deal, Maggie? If she pulls the clue, should he get to know from her who her relative is?
No,
I don't know. I think that the goal or the exchange would be like, okay, when I win my next challenge, I'll pull yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eye for an eye, but then you have to be like, Monet is good at challenges though, but you would have to be like, okay,
not this one, but
yeah, but she has shown that the Legos, she crushed it.
Mm-hmm.
Literally,
she crushed the Legos.
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
Strong foot.
So I think that yeah, I mean, I wish we would have seen a little bit more of the strategic talk of it, but I get it. We have 42 minutes in an episode.
Okay.
I feel like Chris and Gabriel are opposite social players. Like Chris is you know, it's not about maybe finding out who people are. It's about like striking fear into the hearts of people so that they don't want to work with you, but they don't want to put you in as the guesser, which there's definitely a point to that, but I just think it's so extreme. Versus Gabriel, I think has played such a good social game. And I think so much of his game is relying on people just not wanting to pull his clue or not wanting to find him out and like derailing the whole kind of alibi that he's created for himself. And to do this, I just think is so social. I completely agreed with you, Jenny, when you said a couple of weeks ago, like as an example, going for Travis over Shane, like we saw, that was good. That was like the house consensus. So I think being congenial and doing what people want and continuing to be social so that they don't, like someone like Monet doesn't have it out for you, Cole style, to take you out, I think is really good for him. So
Shannon, could you give us the Survivor comparison for Chris and Gabriel?
Ooh.
I feel like Chris is almost like maybe like a Ben Driebergen, or I'm trying to think of someone who's just
Ben
very much
Driebergen.
like
See,
yeah,
I would
like not super social, but more, you know,
But,
like, in
but
terms
Chris
of like
is
on
like,
the way to Ben's win.
Chris is like super strategic. Like I feel like in a way,
like,
even
I feel
more
like he's
so
almost
than
Boston
Ben.
Rob. Because he's kind of intense like that, where he's kind like I think about like the BR that's like kind of like keeping tabs on everyone. I don't know. There's probably, if I had more time, I could probably come up with a better example, but I just feel like people are afraid of Chris because he comes off as very smart and very strategic, and also people don't really know how to get him. So like people are working with him, but almost kind of like out of fear because they feel like it's better to be with him than against him.
Yeah.
Whereas like, and I don't know the comparison again. It's maybe Shannon has better, but I think like that's why Gabriel is like kind of a different type of player, because people are underestimating Gabriel. And they like him. They think he's funny. They don't necessarily think that he's super on to a lot of the stuff in the house. Like they want to work with him because they like him and they don't feel threatened by him. So it's like two like good social games, but like in totally different ways.
Well, the reason I said Ben was just because I felt like I don't think he has an ally left. So it's not like a hugely alliance-based game, but he has an idol every round. The idol is
the teen idol.
Yeah, the teen idol.
Yeah, and that's going to keep him very, very safe because he can't be guessed ever. So, but I do see that. I think that if you look at maybe like more of like a Brian Heidig type or even like a Boston Rob out in terms of like, I'm working with you, but I don't like it. Like
I have the big brother comparison.
Yes.
Oh,
I have the big brother, Paul.
Okay.
Oh, Jenny's favorite.
Just because I picked Paul as my first draft pick of best non-winner.
And do you know who Gabriel's giving? People aren't going to like it because they don't like her. Very much some Nicole Franzel vibes.
Gabriel is giving Nicole Franzel vibes. Okay. All right. Well, I would love to hear you talk us through that.
Absolutely downplaying threat level. Everybody thinks he's there for a good time. Just a sweet, sweet, innocent boy. Oh, we can kind of tell them what to do. But suddenly he's incredibly insulated. And suddenly you have to go through 3 people basically before you can hit Gabriel. And way smarter than you think, is even in the DR being silly, but knows what he's doing.
Holy crap.
It's giving Nicole Franzel. Holy crap.
Wow.
I have a prediction about the winner of the season. Can I give it?
Yes. Go for it. Go for it.
I think it's going to be Gabriel. I think he's going to Franzel us all, and I think it's going to be Gabriel.
Wow. Okay.
Well, that's
right.
I would love that.
Gabriel, I mean, I would love him to win. I think I was going to say like a jam, which is interesting that we keep having winner comparisons. I guess we did for Chris as well.
Yeah.
But like in terms of, he's just so fun that you don't know that he's thinking. You're underestimating him. He's being very social, but in a way that you don't see coming. And I think that's Gabriel's whole game. As long as he can just make people like him so that they don't go after him. And he's managing relationships. I really like his bond with Chris across the aisle. So it's like the most social game, obviously, that we have this season.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think you have to lean into you can lean into self-deprecation in like a good, like the right way, where it's like not too obvious that you're like playing that up and that you're just like confirming people's like conception about you or whatever.
Yeah.
But Chris does the exact opposite, where he's like constantly just like flexing how smart he is and being intense. And I'm like, how is this working? But it's working because people are afraid of him because they don't know what he knows and they don't know who he is.
And the comparison is apt because, you know, friendship bracelets, lots of safety for Paul, Big Brother 19. Also, Shannon, I will say, Paul was never a winner of Big Brother, though. He's the one who's not the second.
Oh, I just meant in terms of I know Nicole won, right?
We've made it. Yeah, we've made winner comparisons for Gabriel, but not fully for Chris. So, but like I still think, like, you know, there's two people left here that I don't know for sure that other people are going to necessarily get, but like Olivia and Monet still feel like very like hidden. I guess now Gabriel has Monet's clue,
Monet's
but unless he's you think that Gabriel eventually sells out Monet? I
mean, at a point, everyone has to get sold out. Doesn't mean it's tomorrow.
Ooh.
I just think.
But what if Gabriel keeps it? What if Gabriel keeps it like to himself, like the Chris thing that he says, and I don't want to see it, but he gets taken out before he has an opportunity to share it with anyone.
Well, that could happen. And then I think it would be difficult. I think I worry about Gabriel's potential as a guesser. That's my question mark for him as a winner. And then
I mean, he wasn't sure he was going to say Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? So
yeah, exactly. But I think that the people who haven't had clues pulled are always like one episode from going. Like it's always one, you know, just one thing that, especially someone like JR, they're already thinking about it. So it's the people who have had the clues pulled that you still don't know. That's why I think Chris is in such a ridiculously good spot. And I'm really surprised that he hasn't got Hugo yet. So I don't know if someone else could put that together. But someone like Chris, where the whole house knows the clue and it's still so off, I think he's borderline untouchable. So I actually probably would put my money on Chris. It's a gambling thing because apparently Donny Osmond has residencies in Vegas. But yeah, I would put my bet, I think, on Chris because I just think,
like in Vegas.
Yeah, and I think the only thing is the players coming back and someone like Jane knowing Donny Osmond. Otherwise,
and being like, I don't want Chris to win or something because she's like bitter that she went out like guessing him wrong or something. Because I mean, by this point she'll have had enough time to think about what the puppy love thing could be, but I don't know.
Gabriel, like, it just takes one clue, and that clue is just 11 babies, and then everyone will know.
Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down about the Nick Cannon babies.
Do we know that Chris, because we don't know that Chris hasn't figured out Hugo's clue, right?
We don't.
He hasn't confirmed either way.
I was going to say that. Like, well, I could see them holding off a couple episodes.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, if it's not going to be, like, important to the storyline until later, like, maybe we don't find out that he knows what it is. Especially if he's not sharing it with anyone. It's not going to come up.
I did Google Nick Cannon bunny because I was wondering, I don't know. And it was like, Nick Cannon spends Easter with his 11 children and dresses up as the Easter bunny. I'm like, I don't think that's it.
Well, he was giving the same necklace to all of their mothers.
Yes. I do think that little tiny camera, I wonder if we zoom in, if it's a Canon camera.
Canon. Rob.
Maybe. I don't know. We got to see. All right. So
and
go
it's
back
tiny
to
because of the babies.
Gabriel and Chris, that they are going to be talking, and basically that there is a little bit of a quid pro quo discussed here of, okay, you want my clue, I will, why don't you share your clue? And Gabriel's thinking about it. He ultimately will not do this.
Yet.
That we saw.
Like, Chris cannot pull Gabriel over to the dark side. Chris is like, you also want no friends except me? Like, we can do this together. And Gabriel just wants to have good relationships.
Yeah. All right. So we see Gabriel go into the room. We talked about the clue. He does mention Kenan Thompson, which is interesting because that he referred to Kenan Thompson just last week when he saw the burger, which he thought could be his clue. Because Nick Cannon was on Nickelodeon with Kenan and Kel. So he's really got Kenan Thompson on the brain.
But you know it's not Kenan Thompson because then it would be some sort of key pun that they haven't done.
Yes, that's true.
That's a good point.
That's true.
They
Okay.
got those.
Yeah.
They got those ready. Like imagine Gabriel just being like, "Is this my clue?"
Yeah, I think that's my own
Is it Kenan
clue.
Thompson? Is it me? I don't.
All right. So there's some talk amongst the women talking about how Alicia Keys actually looks like Cole, and that there was some talk about her brother dating Emma Watson. And then we got confirmation that Cole dated his ex lives in London.
It's wild that
Hermione.
Shane. So Shane was the one that had known that Alicia Keys had a half brother that dated Emma Watson. Like she had all of that information. And then it got pieced together by Cole in passing saying to Monet that he had an ex that lived in London. Like, how did Shane know this much? And like,
everyone knows only Emma Watson lives in London. That's her domain.
Mhm. Yes.
The only celebrity.
Yeah.
Or only person.
It was a long bow and it was right. It's crazy.
Okay.
Incredible.
All right. So we see another conversation between Cole and Carson. We see where Carson is asking Cole what the clue said. He doesn't want to tell her. Carson is telling us also that she wants to bring a layup to the end. She doesn't want to get out somebody that she knows who they are, definitely.
So she's going to keep Jim Carrey because Chris is Jim Carrey's nephew.
That's her layup, maybe.
It's so hard this season because they just don't have enough information. Their worst guesses on maybe harder celebrities or whatever it is, the disparity is a lot. So last season, they could keep Louise the whole time because they kept finding other quite sure things. But this season, they keep needing to use up the layups because they don't have other good guesses. So the main thing I think with this whole season is you don't want to ever become that person who all the correct focus becomes on you. Like Cole, that happened so quickly, and then he had to go.
Well, Jenny, I think this is better for the show because I think that last season, you and I talked a lot about how, like, optimally, you'd want to be in the guest off every single week because it was the only way to A, maintain that you did not get guessed, and then B, continue on and just knock somebody else out of the game.
Unless there emerges a new layup every single week, like we had with Travis, then Shane, and then Cole this week. If that person is going
down
out
to the wire.
Well, that's the thing is you're going to eventually run, like last season, it was Louise the entire time and everyone just saved her. And it just so happened that they came up with better options of people that they felt like were more threatening to take out. And they were really sure about them. So they did that instead of going for Louise. But like Shannon was just saying, like the other options are just, they're a little too risky and people aren't wanting to take that risk just to hold on to something for a layup. Because the other thing is that like, the layup is for everyone. If everyone knows, it's not just your own layup. Like if everyone knows who this person is, it's just as valuable for them. And you don't always have the control of who is going to end up in the final or the bottom two to be the guesser. So I think that in this season, it is a little bit riskier to be the guesser because what happens if the one layup of the week is safe? And there's
holding the layup makes no sense. I'm glad you pointed that out. Like the odds of that helping you are low.
Yeah, like you have to. Like Cole did the right thing last week. I think
I agree.
What are you gonna do? Like you have to get rid of.
Who to doubt Cole? That man dated Emma Watson. Like he knows what's up.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
but I think So the only reason you would keep a layup is for like social reasons. Like if Cole thinks it's just social suicide to not to guess Shane. But for me, I would rather take the layup over. He said he was 90%, I think, on Jeff Gordon. So I would rather take the layup of 100% because I think even slightly unknown is very risky compared to 100. If you feel 100%, I wouldn't ever want to guess something that I wasn't that sure of. So I feel Cole was between a rock and a hard place because these clues became so obvious, and he had to do
and he
Shane.
might not have known that too. Like he might not have known like how much Shane and Monet knew, and how like if he crossed them, that was going to become house knowledge, which is what happened. But if he doesn't know what they know, then he doesn't think that he's like putting himself out there as next the way he did. So
yeah.
JR also got a little bit more of the Dodo edit as he was preparing his guest for Jim Carrey, which I'm very disappointed that we did not get to see in this episode, but maybe we'll save that for another day.
Can we talk about the little editing trick they did?
Yes, go for it.
When they have JR in like the little confessional thing, and he's like, I'm gonna, if I'm the guesser, I'm gonna guess Chris as Jim Carrey. And then they had superimposed Chris over his shoulder going, somebody stop me.
Yeah, what's the producer asking? Like, did that come up organically? Like, or is it's like, Chris, I need to ask you to do something, but I don't want you to ask any questions about why.
Honestly, what I will say I really love about Claim to Fame is it understands what it is. Doesn't take itself too seriously. Yes. It understands we're all here to have a good time. It's great.
Yeah. I wonder maybe if it comes up later on in the season that people are talking about that he's Jim Carrey, and so he does that on, it's his idea to do that in the diary room, and we get it there.
Yeah. Like, why would they have that?
Maybe before they go in the house
smoking.
Maybe all of them have to do that. Maybe all of them before they go in have to deliver a bunch of iconic lines just in case they get guessed as that person. So you never know.
You never know.
They all have life is like a box of chocolates. We just didn't get to see that footage. We have it. Every single one of them.
They said he looked like the Grinch at one point. That was
That's the thing is like, we see the scene between Olivia and Carson, which it was like on a random bench. Like it was like there was something about that scene that just
Tom Hanks?
Yeah, maybe it was the Tom Hanks thing. It like seemed like a stage thing where it's like two friends are meeting up at a cafe to like talk about the clues together. Like I don't know, there's something about it that felt very strange. But that was when Olivia told Carson that everyone thinks that it's Jim Carrey. And even she was like, "Oh my God, you're so right." So it's like, is Carson now on the Jim Carrey train as well? Like, do we literally have everyone in this house thinking that Chris is related to Jim Carrey now? Wow.
Maybe we'll find out. Okay. Let's get to the guess off. Okay. And it seems like the house is a little bit split. Is there anything that we could take away from the votes? So Cole and Chris both voted for JR, whereas we saw Olivia and Monet both voting for Carson. Do we know how the house was split on the vote?
Well, I think it became who's going to go home, JR or Cole. So if Carson's voted in, Cole's going to go home. And if JR's voted in, it seemed like JR was going to go home on a wrong Chris guess. I mean, they don't know that. I think they think it's, I guess, either maybe Chris or Cole if they know who people are guessing. But I think that I would say that was the issue in Cole's game. Like, had to guess Shane. Clues became obvious, and that wasn't his fault. But he didn't have any social relationships to save him. Like, if they knew JR was going to go with Chris, then they would have voted in JR. But they didn't want to risk, I guess, JR on a scary Chris vote, or even maybe Chris. So they chose for Cole to kind of be sacrificed. So I think it was the lack of social game other than Shane at that point. When Monet was coming for him, he just had no social defenses.
Yeah.
We also saw, so it was a split vote. Like they didn't give away the final vote. The one vote they didn't show in the photo booth was Hugo. So Hugo, again, our floater of the house, was the one vote that didn't get revealed. Ultimately, we know that he voted Carson because Carson ended up being the guesser. My theory here is, we saw the women come together. Like when Monet came to Carson and Olivia about the Cole Alicia keys, like they were the only three in the room there. I was like, finally, like, yes, finally, like the few women that are left are like coming together to maybe work together, because we're seeing that the guys have a lot of like little relationships with each other. But I also think that like Monet has like a good relationship with Hugo. So I feel like it kind of turned into like Hugo voted with the girls and was like, let's get Cole out. Carson's going to vote for Cole. We know it's Alicia Keys. Like that's the better thing to have happen here. Because I don't know. I feel I don't know who Hugo's like person is. Also,
he's a floater.
He is always horizontal. I know we've talked about how he leans back all the time, but like during this guest off, he was like fully back. Like he was nearly horizontal.
And he also gives us like Eliza level reaction faces from the Claim to Fame jury box.
His mouth is always agape. And
he and Monet were holding hands.
See?
Okay.
They were like nervous.
Was Monet the one that called him Sexy Hugo, or was that Shane? I can't remember. Someone called him Sexy Hugo.
I think it was Shane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe everyone called. Maybe like that's like he's known as Sexy Hugo.
But also, I think that just goes to show he does have a really good floater social game. That he's like holding hands with Monet, and we didn't see him in any scenes with Monet. You know, but they're clearly like close enough that they're gonna do something like cute like that.
Yeah,
and she said, "Close your mouth."
Like, I did not think that Hugo was going to be this socially adaptable from the first like episode or so, and I think he's a bit younger as well. And
he's the grandson of a politician. What did you expect?
Yeah. Got it in his blood, I guess. Yeah,
shake hands and kiss babies.
Yep. JR again. JR's stricken with the bubble guts again this week, and this time for good reason because he almost got eliminated. Ultimately. We're going to see that Carson is the guesser, and she brings up Cole, and she votes and guesses correctly. It is Alicia Keys, and we got a great video from Alicia Keys.
Yeah,
it was cute. I thought it was really endearing. Everyone seemed very happy to see Alicia Keys.
Yeah, I have to say, Peter was like, "Don't spoil me." And I was like, I won't, but I could not stop singing If I Ain't Got You. Now, I don't think he's going to put two and two together, but I couldn't stop humming it the whole day. And I was like, don't spoil him. But I was like, the whole day. So anyway, I've been listening to a lot of Alicia Keys in the last couple of days because,
It's just a coincidence, Peter, okay?
Yeah. It's just a catchy song. But look, those clues were there. So,
yeah.
Well, Jenny, I thought this was an interesting ending to this episode. I feel like that almost all of the other endings for the episodes, we had either a big exit or a lot of like foreshadowing of what was going to happen next time. This was a very quiet ending to the halfway point of Claim to Fame.
Yeah, I was waiting because we've been getting these little like post guess off clips where like people go to each other to talk, and we really just saw them walk away, and then someone just said like, wow, Alicia Keys, that's crazy, and like that's it. So we really don't have any indication of like what happens next. Like last episode, it was pretty clear like Cole really made some enemies and people are onto him. He's next. So this left me not knowing what's going to happen next week, which is kind of exciting because it really does come down to like who's immune, like what kind of clues get out in this next episode. Like there's no clear layup right now, right? Like there's no one that people are really onto right now as far as we know. So that makes it pretty exciting going into like the second half, right?
I would say I don't know who the next layup is. Who are they getting
Carson,
close on?
Unless like, but that's the thing is like, are we going to get a wrong guess on Carson? Like there's at least a name for Carson, but like it's been said that it's wrong.
I think JR is out next, whether he guesses wrong or I think that they're closing in.
They're very much closing in. I think it would take one clue, and otherwise the clues are very much there. The whole Old Town Road is all over the clue wall. They go very much going in that direction. So I agree. If they pull this clue, I think it's done. And even if they don't, I think someone's guessing Chris wrong again. And then Chris has just never been.
It's got to happen at some point, right?
Yeah.
Also, the stripper pole I said was for Jenny McCarthy, but it's not. It's for Lil Nas X. In one of his music videos, he dances on the stripper pole.
Okay. And sometimes these things, they work for two people also.
That's what I like that idea. I think they should have, if they can find like double meanings for a lot of these clues, I love that.
Okay. Shannon, did you want to give out the rest of the Chizzy points?
Yeah, okay. The Chizzy. So this is for the best players of the episode. So I gave 3 points to Gabriel. We co-sign. I just feel like he's being so social, as I said.
Okay,
and no one has any clues about him, really, right? Like,
and he still pulled Monet's clue. So if he can work it out, and he's very, very, I feel like he's so close. But if he can get it, or even if he becomes the guesser, then go to someone, be like, I need to share this clue. Like if it gets dire, he does have that information. So I think Gabriel's in a good spot. I gave 2 points to Monet. Monet, she was the one who closed in on Cole. She got her revenge. I did like her, even though I think it is being based a little bit on underestimating Gabriel. I like the idea of evolving that strategy. And then I think 1 point to Carson for going with the right person when Cole not voting for Chris and being on to Chris a little bit. Because I think Chris is being a little bit too combative. Olivia's not doing a lot. JR, some bad stuff, but did get out of being the guesser. So, and Hugo, honorable mention, I think, just across the board. Nothing much in this episode, but for where he's placed, yeah.
Okay. Well. Anything else about this night of Claim to Fame?
That was fun.
Okay. All right. Well, this was very, very fun. Very thorough recap here tonight of everything.
You have me and Shannon on. What do you expect?
Yeah, this is great. This is great.
Every little thing.
But the time flew by. And so Jenny, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah. Yes. I can fill a whole podcast with just me talking.
No, but Jenny, I love this is where I come for my Claim to Fame, like because I don't want to go online and search. So I come to you guys, and Jenny's always in the details, and I love that.
Thank you, Shannon. You get me.
Well, this was a dream panel here to be on with you all. Maggie, what's coming up for you?
Yeah, so right now I am on the Hot Dummies on Islands feed in the RHAP ups with the amazing Kristen
Monday
McInnes.
Nights are busy for you.
Yeah, well, it's actually Wednesday nights is when Temptation Island is on and the Big D on USA. We're talking about Hot Dummies on USA Network. It's all good. The Big D, it's divorced couples go to
Jordan Rogers that you mentioned earlier, Shannon.
Oh, that's what they're doing.
And JoJo are the hosts of it.
It's
oh my god, everything connecting.
It's the torturous energy. The show itself is torture. They bring divorced couples onto an island to date each other. It's like true, like it's horrible. But Kirsten and I are talking about that. I will be back for the upcoming Big Brother season. I'm very excited. And
it's so soon.
It's very soon. Very pumped up. And you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at @EmmaMorgan_.
Okay. All right. Maggie, thank you so much. So nice to have you here with us. Shannon, of course, you and I are going to be chatting again on Thursday.
Yeah, we're going to be wrapping up Brains versus Brawn rewatch coverage. But this was really fun. I'm sorry that my internet hated me today because I really wanted to talk about Claim to Fame with this amazing panel. I love
this was
Claim
great.
to Fame.
We got it.
It's such a
and if anybody was listening on the audio only feed, I'm sure they think is Shannon drinking tonight? There was a couple times she was slurring her words. No, it was that she had some lags in her internet. Don't get it twisted. It's she doesn't even drink.
Maybe it was both. No, I never need a drink to get through Claim to Fame. It's an amazing show. It's one of those shows that I think really benefits from podcast coverage where you can talk it all out, the strategy, the guesses. It's just it's
so interactive.
Right for analysis. Yeah. So thank you for having me. And I'm excited to see where it goes. And my money's on Chris, but I'm hoping for a Gabriel win. I think and then we could really want to follow up with another amazing winner of this franchise.
All right. Well, looking forward to it. Shannon, I said last week that I don't think Chris will win, but I think he'll have the longest postseason deep dive.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it was so accurate, and I want to hear all about it.
Yeah.
He's very much a player where you're like, I don't know if I like it, but I respect it. So
yes, it's a hard gamer. All right, and then Jenny, for you.
Well, we mentioned at the top of the podcast, if you haven't checked out our interview with Amara Sky from season 1 of Claim to Fame, that was a lot of fun getting to catch up with Amara. And other than that, we are still trucking along with Hit or Quit covering Stars on Mars. Yeah.
Shannon said she was going to check it out.
My grandmother.
Yes, your grandmother's watching Stars on Mars?
She loves it. I was home last week and she was raving all about it. She said, "Thank you so much for telling me to watch Stars on Mars." I said, "Wow, I told you to watch Claim to Fame, but sure, as long as I was like, you are in the Jenny Robb sphere, so I love it for you,
right there.
Emma."
You're right there.
It's the same show, basically.
It's about
celebrities. So yeah, we just caught up on episode 5 and 6 just a few days ago, and we will be back to keep covering that until we decide to quit. Whether that ever happens or I don't know what's
see.
on the horizon. We never know.
God.
That's the beauty of hit or quit. You don't know what's gonna happen next.
Yeah.
And then other than that, then just follow me on social media at Jenny Autumn. I'll let you know if anything else is coming down the pipes.
All right.
Tomorrow night, watch the Blood on the Watchtower. Clock Tower.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never played it, so I'm probably going to be terrible. But I'll be hopping on for that on YouTube and Twitch with you. So that'll be great.
Yeah. Then Wednesday night, we're going to have coverage of the Big Brother 25-year retrospective live after the episode. I believe that show is on at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we will be on live after for coverage, recapping the recap of 25 seasons of Big Brother. Also, I have a survey out for our listeners. You can give us your feedback on some of the things we're doing over here on Rob is a Podcast. Help us improve what we are putting out for you. Head on over to robisawebsite.com/RHAP survey if you have a minute to give us some of your feedback about how you like to consume the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We'll be back next time. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.